Most people think that homeschooling online would be the easy and effective route. With 4 kids, I almost fell for this too. I was even looking at a virtual reality school that would allow my children to travel anywhere they wanted in the world. I get the allure. Access to the best courses with certified teachers and infinite resources. But in my home and after a little bit of research, I realized that it's not actually the best. For our family, this journey started when I decided to completely delete all social media off my phone. I took all screens away from my children for 2 weeks straight. They felt like their days were longer and they were having so much more fun. And then for the new school year, we experimented with taking homeschooling completely offline as well. I'm so glad I followed my intuition and went offline this year because my kids have become so much smarter and so much happier. The homeschoolers who are really winning right now are chronically offline. This is because analog learning isn't just some old-fashioned technique. It actually optimizes the way our brains learn and retain information. Hi, I'm Janelle, homeschooling mom of 4 and family health coach. I'm going to walk you through the 3 science-backed reasons that offline learning is going to make your kids smarter and happier too. And as a bonus, I found out that going offline actually made my life more simple, not harder. I genuinely didn't expect that. The first reason is one of those lost arts, and that's handwriting instead of typing. When your child writes by hand, they're not just writing information, it's actually being encoded in the brain. The physical act of writing each letter engages motor memory in a way that typing never will. Research consistently shows that students who take handwritten notes outperform those who take them digitally. The information gets understood and retained at a completely different level. There's friction in handwriting, and that friction is a feature, not a bug. It forces the brain to actively process the information, rather than just passively transcribing whatever information is coming through. Even though typing is faster, the slowing down of handwriting is actually better because your brain has to really focus and decide on what matters. And that decision-making process is what helps retain that information. Most people might not think of this as hands-on learning, but holding the weight of the physical book, flipping the pages, feeling one side get heavier than the other, having a physical location of information, all of this creates multisensory input that dramatically increases learning retention. This is because of special memory, remembering where that information on the page was, how far into the book it appeared. That spatial context becomes part of how they store and retain the information. And we all know it's such a beautiful thing when our kids don't want to put down a book. That focus is deep encoding happening in real time. When your child is working with physical materials, reading a book, holding a pencil, using math manipulatives, or doing a science experiment, their proprioceptive system is fully active. This is the sense that tells you where your body is in space. And it feeds directly to the vestibular system that regulates both focus and emotional stability. This is especially key for those who are neurodivergent. Kids who are physically engaged in their learning are literally better equipped to focus. Their bodies are physically participating in the learning, not just their eyes staring at a screen doing all the work. Screens flatten all of this rich educational experience. The body becomes static and passive. The hands do nothing meaningful and the eyes stay fixed on a screen. Physical learning, on the other hand, has kids looking down at their book, looking up at you, or looking across the room at a map or out the window at nature. Their eyes and bodies get the full range of movement it's designed for. Now with 4 kids, I chose screens last year because I thought it was going to be easier. I was completely wrong. What actually happened was managing the screens just kept pulling me away and my children away from the physical flows of life. They could feel how they were disconnected from life. They could feel how I was disconnected from what they were learning. And when they were done with their online classes, they were not telling me how excited they were about what they were learning. They were just trying to figure out what reality was again. Now with the hands-on curriculum, they're always stopping or coming and telling me what they're learning from their books and their worksheets. They are absolutely loving it and feeling so much more engaged. It was interesting. The younger siblings could even feel that the older ones were online and sort of disconnected, versus now that they are out and about and reading books and working hands-on, there isn't that weird tension anymore. My favorite part about going offline has been seeing my kids reclaim their days and be so fulfilled at getting into that deep focus and flow state and completing their work. It is such a beautiful thing to see. What I use now is a curriculum that has a 4-day schedule completely done for you. It's all books. It's called Bookshark. Being able to physically mark off what they do each time is so helpful. Honestly, just opening these physical schedules, opening a book is so much easier than dealing with the computer. Something else I didn't expect to happen when we went offline is my bond is getting stronger with my children because I'm actually more involved. They also haven't had that school pressure to just get it done. So now that we have this hands-on curriculum, however long it takes them to understand and get, it just is. There's no pressure to just simply get it done. And that's what learning is all about, is actually mastering it, not completing it. Research also shows that although people read faster on screens, they're comprehending less. Slowing down really is the key to life. The slower the pace, the deeper the processing. And that calmer, more focused state means their baseline cortisol stays lower through the day. Our brains can't retain and learn information in that stressed out fight or flight mode. Screens are actually working actively against the brains we really want to be creating for our children. The thing is these online learning platforms are created by the same engineers that are designing social media and video games to be addicting. They completely rewire our dopamine pathways. And one of the greatest skills we need in life is actually delayed gratification, where these platforms are just giving us dopamine hit after dopamine hit to try to keep us engaged. And with this dopamine hijacking, the normal things of life, like reading books and writing or taking a walk in nature, they start to feel boring, dull, and empty. And on the extreme end, this can actually start to cause people anxiety and depression because they can no longer feel happy in normal life. The brain literally can't do it anymore without artificial stimulation. This is something we really need to protect our children from. My kids felt like they didn't get to live their days. Screens cause this time dilation effect. I'm sure you've experienced it. You go to check something and 20 minutes later, you wonder where the time went. It made me so sad to see that my kids didn't feel like they were living, and I understood that feeling. Now that we're offline, the days have slowed down and they feel accomplished. On top of time distortion, screens are generally very fatiguing to the brain with the artificial lights and bright color, all of those dopamine hits, and attempting to process information at a much faster rate than we should be. That blue light also decreases learning retention because it interrupts sleep where learning is consolidated. This leads to a vicious cycle. Your child doesn't sleep well, so they can't learn as well the next day, and then at night, when they try to sleep again, they can't consolidate that learning from the previous day, and it just loops, significantly decreasing their learning ability. With offline learning, they are getting fully restorative sleep, consolidating their learning at night, and waking up fully restored, ready to go at it again. As a family health coach, I've spent years studying how the nervous system affects learning and behavior. For my neurodivergent family in particular, switching to offline learning has been such a blessing. We are seeing so much academic progress despite using old-fashioned techniques. The brain simply works better when it's not stressed, when it's rested, and not being overstimulated. The other big change we made to really help my kids start learning better and focusing better was prioritizing a healthy morning routine to make sure that their bodies and their minds were fully optimized and ready to learn. There are 5 critical habits that really accelerate focus and learning and reduce that power struggle. I created an in-depth training on that. You can get it completely free in the link in the description that is within my Health First Homeschool community. If you want to reduce the power struggles and stress in your homeschool and help your child thrive and focus, click that link below, and I can't wait to hear from you there.